Good evening, welcome to ITV News Meridian.
Tonight's headlines in the south.
Yes! I wanted A in biology.
The results are in. Thousands of students in the south get their A-level grades.
How did a culture of bullying flourish at this Brighton hospital? A doctor speaks out.
The story of 14 little pigs stolen under the cover of darkness from a farm in the New Forest.
And airshow favourites, the Red Arrows, entertain the crowds in the blue sky over Bournemouth. Good evening. It's been an emotional and nerve-wracking day for thousands of teenagers and parents across the region as A-level results were published.
In the south, the overall pass rate was slightly up, while the number of students getting the top grades of A and A star was down a fraction.
Our social affairs correspondent, Christine Alsford, was with students as they found out how they'd done.
Some could hardly believe their eyes.
Oh my God! Yes!
Others were literally left jumping for joy. For tens of thousands of A-level students and their parents, the anxious waiting finally over, and record numbers of university places are being offered.
I can't believe it. I'm just so happy. Oh, that's great. Oh.
At Varndine College in Brighton, great results for many after months of hard work. Several here and elsewhere getting in on the degree courses they'd set their sights on, even if their grades weren't quite what they'd been aiming for.
I didn't do as well as I thought I would do, but I did get into the uni that I wanted to get into, so I'm really, really happy about that. Super happy.
I got into my uni, but it was very close, very close.
I found it so hard. I literally studied from February, but I got what I wanted.
Along the road at Brighton College, 4 sets of twins celebrating success. These sisters sat the same subjects, got the same grades, and are off to study the same course at Oxford.
I was worried for her because if she doesn't get it, then it would be horrible. So it's turned out fine in the end. We got the same, so no fights there. Yeah, so. Exactly the same. So. Yeah.
That's amazing.
But not everyone's following exactly the same path. Stefan Soderberg is a pupil at Itching College in Southampton, and he's starting an apprenticeship to become an outdoor activity instructor.
I'm working straight into what I love doing rather than having to wait for a degree and not having to pay like £9,000 a term was pretty nice.
Is that good news? Yeah, that is.
But with more than 40% of pupils still heading for a degree and tuition fees and living costs rising, many will be relying on proud parents for financial help.
She's got quite a good loan, so yeah, we might have to a little bit, but we'll see how it goes.
I don't want to ruin her life dreams because of money, so we'll make it.
We've put a little bit aside, so yes, we're going to help her out. I think it's well worth the investment. I think her future is looking bright.
The future's also looking bright for those collecting their results at the Island Innovation Sixth Form in Newport, proving wrong the Ofsted chairman who recently labelled the island a ghetto for education.
I got 2 A stars and an A.
Happy that it's over and that all the hard work's paid off.
For those doing well, it's certainly been a day to celebrate. And for anyone who's disappointed, the message is there are plenty of hugely successful people who didn't excel in the exam hall. Christine Alsford, ITV News.
Some great scenes of celebrations there. Well, a record number of people have been offered a place at university.
This year, 420,000 in fact. That's up 3% on last year. But for those who haven't got the grades or have done better than expected, the clearing system is an option.
Last year, 64,000 students secured a place through clearing. And when phone lines opened there this morning, by 10:30, staff had answered nearly 4,000 calls.
Well, our reporter Matt Price is at the UK's clearing centre. Matt, a hive of activity all day, but how does it work?
Look, absolutely. As you can see, the chatting behind me is the sound of the 180 UCAS advisors fielding calls from A-level students, taking them through the clearing process. Kat and Daxa here have been on the phone since early this morning, taking, as I think you mentioned there, 1,000 calls in the first hour since lines were open. But it isn't just all about the calls. Take a look at this. This is the social media hub. It was here last year, but this year bigger and better, and they're too taking thousands of questions on Twitter and getting involved in Facebook conversations as well. Fiona's one of those. Fiona, what are people asking you?
So lots of questions about timings, when will track update, and lots of questions about when can I add a clearing choice, which is from 3 o'clock, and of course lots of lovely messages from people excited to have got into uni.
So any questions, Fiona is your woman. Now, as you mentioned again, that 424,000 students found a place at university before the clearing lines even opened this morning. And let's bring in UCAS, who can tell us a bit more about this. What does it mean, firstly, for the South East? How many students in the South East are going to university?
Well, it's really good news. More than 51,000 students from the South East got into university today.
Courses like economics and law are as popular this year as they were last. Why do you think people are attracted by those courses, Helen?
So I think there's a number of reasons. First of all, lots of universities offer them. Secondly, you can apply with a really broad range of A-levels. And thirdly, obviously, they lead to a wide range of professions that people recognise.
OK, thank you very much, Helen. Busy day for you, and busy day for the guys here as well. The lines are open until 8 o'clock tonight, and you can get involved with them on social media at any time. It's a cliche, but the advice, if you're worried, do not panic, get in touch. These guys can surely help you.
Matt Price at UCAS HQ, thank you.
Well, in other news, a man armed with a knife tried to steal money from a till at a petrol station in Borden, Hampshire last night. CCTV shows the suspect targeting the Jet service station on Walmer Way. Staff alerted police by pressing a panic button. The man got away empty-handed.
Police in Sussex are trying to trace a woman who is believed to have been assaulted at Pease Pottage Services near Crawley. They've released this CCTV image as they're concerned for her safety. Witnesses reported she was grabbed around the neck and shaken by a man. A 22-year-old man from East Grinstead was arrested on suspicion of common assault and bailed.
Concern is growing for a man missing from Bournemouth. David Henderson, who's 53, was last seen at his home on Coronation Avenue on the 25th of July. He may have travelled to Basingstoke.
Last night, we reported on claims of bullying, harassment and discrimination at the biggest NHS trust in Sussex.
Brighton and Sussex University Hospital's NHS Trust has been placed in special measures while major problems are being tackled. Well, today we spoke to a doctor who tells us racism at the organisation is endemic.
It comes as the new chairman of the Equality and Human Rights Commission says a failure to tackle deep-rooted race inequality will cause more and more divisions in our society. Andy Dickinson reports.
It's been a difficult week for this hospital that has served the people of Sussex for almost 200 years. The trust that runs both the Royal Sussex County and the nearby Princess Royal, placed in special measures by the Care Quality Commission. And perhaps most surprising of all the accusations levelled against them, that in this city famous for its sense of equality, staff from black and minority ethnic backgrounds reported that bullying and discrimination within the organisation was rife.
Every day, BME staff are facing racism because the institutional racism is so endemic within the organisation. You'd be hard pushed to find a black and minority ethnic staff to say that they are being treated fairly in terms of equal opportunities.
Dr Vivian Lyfar Cisse has worked as a clinical biochemist at the Royal Sussex County for over 30 years. She says discrimination within the NHS is a national problem, but local managers are failing to act.
BME staff are more likely to be subjected to disciplinary by the trust. They are more likely to take out grievances because of the way in which they're treated. If you look at the representation of staff at the higher pay bands, although we've got 15% of our workforce from black and minority ethnic background, less than 7% are in the higher pay bands, bands 8 and 9. And BME staff are less likely to access training and development. And we work for the NHS because we love the NHS too. And you know, we just want to be treated fairly. And what needs to change? We need a change of leadership.
What do you say to people who say you're being overly sensitive?
Yes, what people would say is that we're playing the race card. What I will say to those people is, look at the evidence. The evidence clearly shows there is a problem.
This trust will now be closely regulated by monitors. In a statement, it told us, "We recognise we have much to do to tackle the long-standing issues we face, creating a culture of fairness and equality for all our staff. Over the coming weeks and months, we will be working hard to address all the issues identified in the CQC report and will be involving our staff, networks and unions to help shape the significant journey we must now embark on together." Andy Dickinson, ITV News, Brighton.
Bus drivers in Dorset, embroiled in a bitter dispute over pay, will extend their strike for a 9th week. More than 100 First Dorset staff in Weymouth and Bridport have been taking part in the industrial action. They want their hourly wage to increase to £9.50, but the company says the increase is unaffordable.
Meanwhile, the MP for Bexhill and Battle has urged the RMT union to end the Southern Rail dispute. Hugh Merriman says he is exasperated by the recent breakdown in talks between the union and the company. The RMT has safety concerns about driver-only operated trains. But Mr Merriman says the union should accept every job has to change with the times.
You're watching ITV News Meridian here in the south. Coming up, Simon will be here with the weather forecast, plus
why all is not what it seems with this jewellery, designed for those who like their gems more personal.
Well, for more on all of our stories, head to itv.com/Meridian. Any views or news, then call us. The number is 0808 1010 095, or get in touch via Facebook or send us a tweet at ITV Meridian.
Well, the ITV Evening News continues with the national and international news at 6:30. It's Mark Austin.
The image of the Syrian child that captures the horror of Aleppo and shocks the world. 5-year-old Omran was rescued from the rubble after being injured in an airstrike. Jamie Oliver claims the health of future generations is at stake after what he calls the government's underwhelming obesity strategy. And a record number of A-level students are off to university, but top grades are down. Join Mary Nightingale and me at 6:30.
14 pigs have been stolen from a farm in the New Forest. The animals were taken at some point between Monday evening and Tuesday morning from South Ellenford Farm in Fordingbridge. Each one is tattooed with a specific marking.
It's just very depressing that after a year that's been probably one of the most difficult farming years in my career, just when things looked as if they were settling down price-wise and we've had some good weather after a very, very long wet winter, that we should have our pigs stolen. So it's really not very good for morale for anyone, frankly.
Now, campaigners against new runways at Heathrow and Gatwick have been protesting today ahead of a government decision expected in October.
They held an Olympic-style event with Heathrow awarded a pair of gold ear defenders for making the most noise. It's claimed noise at both airports will massively increase if the plans are approved.
A new opinion poll for Windsor and Maidenhead Council reveals 38% of local people oppose a third Heathrow runway, with 34% supporting it, while the rest said they had no preference. Here's our transport correspondent, Mike Pearce.
Ready, steady, go!
The latest protest against airport expansion, with runners representing noisy European airports. The Olympic-themed event saw Heathrow winning and being awarded a pair of golden ear defenders for being the noisiest. Gatwick was also represented, with campaigners saying new runways would lead to more noise under the flight path.
Today it's been the silly season, so we had our own noise Olympics, and the top 8 most overflown airports in Europe have been competing, plus Gatwick, in our 100 metres race, and Heathrow, of course, was a clear winner.
Is this all just a desperate stunt to try and get your message across?
I think it's a way of countering what Heathrow have been able to do over the last few months, put a lot of money into advertising.
Be it Heathrow or Gatwick, either of these airports gets another runway. What's it going to be for people like yourself?
Well, it's going to be less respite, so less periods of the day when we don't have noise, more pollution, more congestion. I mean, it will just make life even more unbearable than it is already.
It has to be somewhere
it can't be at Heathrow. The damage is just too great.
Should it then be at Gatwick, do you think?
My personal view is, of the available options, and in the context of the Davis review, that yes, Gatwick is the option.
Both airports say measures will be put in place to minimise the impact, and the benefit will be tens of thousands of jobs and a major economic boost.
We've got a Prime Minister who in the past has expressed grave reservations about a third runway at Heathrow, which I think does mean that Gatwick is in the frame in a way that it wasn't a few months ago.
A decision on expansion is promised in October. There's currently no indication if it will be Heathrow or Gatwick. But with Theresa May and key members of her new cabinet concerned about the impact of noise at Heathrow, the issue remains at the centre of intense political debate. Mike Pearce, ITV News, Heathrow.
Well, from a staged Olympics to the real thing now, and in the last hour, Weymouth sailors Hannah Mills and Saskia Clark have finished their final medal race in the 470 class, taking gold in the event. The pair waited all day yesterday for the race to start, but it was delayed because of strong winds. But they got onto the water today and have now bettered their London 2012 silver 4 years ago.
Yeah, they didn't win today's race, but they had already done enough to take gold. They celebrated with friends and family on the beach. Wonderful.
Congratulations to them. In hockey, and there will be tense times at clubs in Reading and East Grinstead tomorrow night as players from both are in the Great Britain ladies squad, fighting for gold at the Olympics. Team GB made it through to their first ever Olympic final with a 3-0 victory over New Zealand in the semis. 2 of the goals coming from Reading's Southampton-born Alex Danson. They'll do battle with the Netherlands in the final.
And it was a silver medal for Liam Heath from Guildford and his teammate John Schofield in the men's 200-metre kayak. The Spanish team got the gold. Well, Liam's been kayaking since the age of 10 after being introduced to the sport on a family trip to Wake Kayak Club in Surrey. And he's never looked back, becoming European champion this year. Liam says all the years of training have finally paid off.
Been training so hard and putting so much work in, and not just you, your family who've supported you and the support team around, with everything we get from the lottery, you know, shares in this moment, and it's just an incredible feeling. Absolutely sums up last 4 years of hard work, really, in one small disc of medal, you know, and it's an absolutely incredible feeling.
Oh, well done to him. Well, Football Now and Reading have boasted their squad by signing midfielder Sandro Weiser, who played in the Swiss League last season for FC Thun. It follows their second defeat on the road, going down 4-1 at Newcastle United. A trip on John Swift meant the Royals went in level at half-time thanks to Gareth McCleary's penalty. But the second half saw 3 more goals from the Geordies, though Jaap Stam insists Reading were the better team.
Oxford also failed away, going down 2-0 at Fleetwood. Both goals coming in the second half. Just 1 point from 3 so far for United. Coach Michael Appleton says his side are failing to get the basics right. Next up are Peterborough.
Now, when you think of treating yourself or that special someone to a piece of jewellery, what would you normally come to mind? Well, gold perhaps, or silver, a precious gem to be treasured?
I bet it's diamonds.
Oh, all
for
the way,
you.
definitely.
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
But one jeweller has an altogether different approach. She set up a business using more personal materials, shall we say. And a warning, this report is not for the faint-hearted. Ellie Barker has more.
Diamonds may be a girl's best friend. Platinum, the most expensive metal in the world. But step inside Nicola Kaminga's studio and she brings a whole new meaning to the term precious gem. This bracelet alone is made up of cat's fur, breast milk and, wait for it, an umbilical cord.
I'm a little bit masochistic there. I quite like it. I like that bit of controversy, and I think if everyone thought my work was just normal, I probably wouldn't want to do it anymore. I love that what I do is a little bit different.
It certainly is. The raw materials lying around this artist's workshop are samples of breast milk and, yes, those umbilical cords. They are all transformed into pieces like these. These necklaces are made from human ashes. This here is a lock of my son's hair. I want you to know he had a haircut. No child was harmed while getting this. But Nicola, what on earth could you do with this?
I could put it into a charm, a ring, maybe a set of cufflinks or a tie pin, anything really.
And people like the feeling of having their children's hair close to them.
Yeah, especially when they're not with us and when they get older and they go off and they go to school. It's quite nice to have something touchable.
Nicola says her method of turning these materials into jewels is strictly confidential and wouldn't let us film, but she did allow us to take away one of her pieces. Let me show you this. When you first see it, you may think that is just a lovely piece of jewellery, a lovely necklace. When I tell you it's actually made from the ashes of Socks the cat, what will you think then?
That's nice, yeah.
You like that, do you?
Yeah, nice. Yeah,
Now,
it's unusual, isn't it?
It is unusual.
Yeah.
If I was going to tell you that it was made out of the ashes of Socks the cat, what would you say about it then?
Why would they do it?
I think it's a bit sad, really. Sad for Socks, isn't it?
Are you speechless?
Yeah.
It doesn't appeal to me at all, really, that sort of thing.
It's unbelievable. I can't believe it, not really.
Nicola Kaminga says she has so far sold more than 600 items. Prices start at around £40, but whether they will be cherished as priceless treasures, we'll let you decide. Ellie Barker, ITV News.
Amazing. Well, we've been asking what you think about this rather unusual jewellery on our Facebook page. Hannah Locke says it's a beautiful idea, a precious keepsake.
Mark Palmer told us a pendant with a lock of hair inside was a very common item in Victorian times.
Jane Evans thinks she would have something made out of hair, possibly, but not the rest.
And Ambler says, no way, too weird.
And as for Carol Clark, well, she's not sure about some of the ingredients, but she says she has a sprinkle of her mum's ashes in 2 tattoos she's had done. Amazing.
Goodness. Well, thank you for all of your comments.
Now, thousands of people have spent the day on Bournemouth Beach, there to soak up the sun and sand, but also drawn to the seaside town because its air show is underway.
Yes, the blue sky provided a perfect backdrop for the festival, which, weather permitting, takes place over the next 4 days. Well, our reporter, Sally Simmonds, is live there tonight. And Sally, you really chose the day, didn't you? Perfect conditions, isn't it, for this air show?
Yes, it wasn't just me that chose the day, you're right. Thousands have crammed onto the beach at Bournemouth. It is one of the most popular air shows. It's free, of course, the Bournemouth Air Festival. It makes it very popular for families. You've got the sunshine, you've got the sea, and of course you've got the aircraft to look at. But there was a note of sadness today because it is exactly 5 years since one of the Red Arrow's pilots lost his life here. Undoubtedly the most visual of all the air displays, the Red Arrows are almost always the highlight. But it was here 5 years ago that one pilot, John Egging, lost his life after performing with his stunt team. Today, his mother says she will always feel proud of her son as she watches the aerobatic team in action.
For me, it just brings back all those feelings of pride that I had when John was with them. That'll never go away, never go away. So very, very special. Yeah, just same as you. Gives you that wonderful feeling, doesn't it?
The John Egging Trust, set up in his name, has helped 200 struggling youngsters achieve their goals and is inspiring thousands to follow their dreams. For the military who maintain and fly these aircraft, this festival is a chance to encourage spectators to think about joining the services.
It's that looking and seeing and understanding what we do. It isn't all about fast jets and honest jets. There is a huge amount of options for people, and especially today on A-level day, it's a real key moment for us.
We always need people to sign up. For the first time in my career, and I've been in the Navy over 30 years, the Navy's actually getting larger, not smaller, which is very exciting.
And these small people were certainly enthusiastic.
What would be your favourite plane?
We have the Lancaster coming.
The Spitfire.
Do you think you might be a pilot one day?
Yeah. The Walkers and the Spitfires and the Red Arrows.
The Battle of Britain Memorial Flypast with a Lancaster, Hurricane and Spitfire opened this 4-day event. And on the beach, the smell of sun cream mixed with the noise of engines, past and present.
We've seen the Lancaster and the Spitfires, etc.
We're looking forward
Really
to the Red
good.
Arrows.
Yeah.
We've come every year, but it's fantastic. Yeah, it's fantastic for the children. They absolutely love it.
With sunshine, the sea, the sand, and obviously the aeroplanes, it's no wonder the Bournemouth Air Festival has attracted crowds of over 7 million since it started in 2008. Well, joining me now is the organiser of the event, John Weaver. 9 years, it's been getting bigger, it's been getting better. You must be so proud.
I think we're all proud. There's a big team that puts this all together, takes a year. And I think what we've seen today is some of the biggest crowds we've had for a Thursday. Some great air displays. We've had the new, a new one for us is the Puma helicopter, the Swiss Air Force coming in, and they'll be here for 4 days. Seen the Battle of Britain memorial flights. And also, obviously, the Red Arrows were here as well.
But we have to acknowledge there was a terrible tragedy almost exactly a year ago in Shoreham. As we mentioned, a pilot lost his life here 5 years ago. How do you prepare for things like that?
Well, the first thing is that we have to make sure that whatever we do is the safest possible environment, both for the pilots and obviously for the crowds. Now, what I was really pleased to see today is we've put in these new measures, which has been a bigger marine safety zone. And I think that's worked very, very well. I don't think it's lost the spectacle too much for those people enjoying it. We're always concentrating and working on safety, not only as an event organiser, but I know every single pilot, all the different associations want to make sure that it's the safest possible space for people to enjoy and to display.
And I know you've been telling me there is so much going on over the next 4 days. We love the Red Arrows, but what's your highlight?
Well, I think there's a very interesting over the weekend. We've got the Great Wall Display team. That's sort of the dog fights with the World War I. So that should be a funny little thing. We obviously have the Typhoon, and we're hoping tomorrow night we'll have the Typhoon evening display.
Fantastic. It's all marvellous here. That's it from us in Bournemouth, and the weather looks good as well.
Certainly does, Sally. Thank you very much indeed. It does look good. Head in the clouds?
Yeah, because you might not be looking at planes in the sky, but you could see clouds, lots of those over the next few days. But what do they look like? Well, here's the first one that Jane Denton in Bryce Norton sent in. Daughter Rose took it on the school run. Emu,
sure.
she thinks. Can you see
Yoda.
Close. Peter Pipe in Kennington thinks this one looks like Willie. Thought rabbit or shrew, but I'll go with that one. Bit of a twist from Sam Williams in Old Woking in Surrey.
A poodle.
A poodle, yep, a hole in the clouds like a poodle. A Bob Lowe in Barton-on-Sea. Shocked to see that in August.
A Dorito.
Christmas tree.
Fine Dorito.
Eileen Bacon, other snacks are available. Eileen Bacon in Littlehampton sent this view of Arundel Castle with...
Baby with the tongue out.
Yeah, face pulling his tongue out. And finally, Mike Boss in Fordingbridge thinks this one looks like...
A tall ship.
Boris Johnson.
Oh,
really? Have a look on my blog, a closer look, you'll be able to see it. Meridian weather at ITV.com.
Well, Simon, you may have your head in the clouds, but your feet are on the ground. Here he is with the forecast. It's Simon.
From blizzards to pool, driving through Europe. Eurotunnel the Shuttle sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
Now, you might have noticed a bit more grey and a little less blue in the sky today, and unfortunately for the next couple of days, things are only going to get worse. Through tonight, we'll see the cloud thickening up, fairly mild and muggy as well, 15, 16 the overnight low, and then during the early hours, we'll start to see some outbreaks of rain arrive too. They're going to work their way north and eastwards. Pretty miserable tomorrow morning with some heavy and persistent rain for a time, but the whole lot, as I say, is clearing away. So come the afternoon, we should start to see something a little drier and brighter developing from the southwest. Winds will strengthen though, and they'll continue to strengthen through Friday night into Saturday. And look how disappointing the temperatures are. We're used to the mid-20s tomorrow, highs of 19 or 20 at best. As for your high tide times, in Bognor around 10 past midnight, then 20 to 1 in the afternoon, and then Saturday a Met Office weather warning in place, an area of deep low pressure, and around it some very strong, unseasonably strong winds. We could along the coast see gusts of 55 miles an hour, inland gusts of 50 miles an hour, so I expect there to be some disruption on Saturday.
Eurotunnel the Shuttle sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
Not good, is it? I don't like the sound of that. Well, in just a moment, the ITV Evening News with Mark Austin and Mary Nightingale.
I'll be back with your late news tonight. Join me if you can. But for now, from the team here at ITV Meridian, thanks very much for watching. Have a brilliant evening. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.